Howdy there, YouTube. My name is Alex, and I graduated from Brigham Young University with a BS in Civil Engineering back in 2010. Here's my little diploma, and I've been working in the industry for about 10 years now, and I am a registered professional engineer. Ta-da! And as such, I have plenty of insight in civil engineering, and I decided to create this video for BYU students who are interested in studying civil engineering. BYU has an excellent program, and they're really good at preparing you for the workforce. So I have some tips on how you can best prepare for studying civil engineering. All right, tip number 1. If you have questions about civil engineering, don't be afraid to ask those who are already in the industry. BYU's engineering department has counselors who can help you in class selection and planning for your career. They even have people who can help you write your resume for when you're getting ready for job fairs. You can also reach out to professionals who are already in the industry and who have accomplished the things that you seek to accomplish, and you could contact them and ask them questions. I've had students ask me questions either through email or even on Skype about civil engineering and what classes they should take or how they should study, or whether or not they need a master's degree, etc. I'm going to include my contact information in this video, so if you want to contact me and ask me any questions, feel free to do so. Tip number 2, plan your class schedule. So BYU has its own system for planning and signing up for classes called MyMap. It's on the BYU website, and as a new freshman, it would behoove you to learn how to use MyMap as quickly as possible, because then you could plan out your schedule and figure out what requirements you want to fulfill with which classes. And a very common mistake that a lot of first-year students make is they end up taking classes that they don't even need to satisfy the requirements for their degree, and that just wastes their time and their money. And as far as the university core is concerned, there's basically 2 ways to go about it. You can sign up to take all the general education requirements your first year, which is what most people suggest, because that way, if you change your major, all those classes will still count towards whatever degree you end up getting. But if you already know you want to study civil engineering, it's a good idea to spread the general education requirements out over 4 years or however long it takes you to graduate. And the reason for that is because it gives you more flexibility. A lot of technical electives, the upper division engineering classes that you take, are only offered certain semesters. So, for example, if you've taken all your general education requirements and you only have 1 semester left to graduate, but the one technical elective you want isn't offered until the next semester, well, you painted yourself into a corner there. So by spreading out the general education requirements, you give yourself a little bit more flexibility. Another thing that I usually suggest to new students at BYU is to take the easiest classes you can that still count towards your major during your first semester and work really hard towards getting a 4.0, because figuratively speaking, it's a lot easier to stay on top of things than it is to dig yourself out of a hole. Tip number 3, get yourself a good calculator. Now, you'll hear conflicting things from engineering students about what the ideal calculator is. Some people say, oh, just bring a simple, like, solar-powered calculator. You won't need a graphing or scientific calculator. But I actually really disagree with that. I have my graphing calculator here, the TI-89, and it can do all kinds of things. It can solve equations, it can do derivatives, integrals, all that fancy stuff. And you can crunch numbers with it very quickly. It's very efficient. I like it. It was my workhorse all through college. So I would suggest getting a nice scientific graphing calculator. The TI-89 is my personal favorite, but you can choose whichever one works for you. Tip number 4, do not buy new books. So when you sign up for your classes, you can generate a list of all the needed textbooks for those classes, and you can buy them all at the BYU bookstore. Now, before you do that, I would suggest going online, looking at Amazon, looking at eBay, looking for used books, which are basically the same thing, but you can get them much cheaper online. Now, another thing you can do is look for free PDF copies where you can download. I'll include a link to one such website where you can find them in the description. And sometimes you don't even need to buy or get the book at all, because you'll be able to check them out at a tutorial lab. They sometimes keep a lab copy, so hold off on buying the book until you know you really need it. Tip number 5, as soon as you can, look for a part-time job. Specifically, you should look for a job in the civil engineering department or the physics department or the math department or something relevant to your major. Some students are afraid that they won't have enough time to work part-time and study and do all their homework. And me personally, that hasn't been my experience at all. I actually got better grades when I worked part-time as a student. But the benefits of having a part-time job are threefold. One, you make enough money usually to cover rent and to cover groceries. Two, you do a much better job of retaining the information that you got from that course, so because you'll be teaching it to your fellow students every day. Teaching other people material is one of the best ways of retaining it yourself, I found. And three, it's something to put on a resume. That's probably the biggest one, because as an entry-level engineer, you're going to have something to put on your resume. Let your employer know that you can hold down some kind of job. And having a teaching assistant job that's relevant to your major is especially helpful. Tip number 6, keep all your notes. You're going to want to bring an external hard drive with you and scan and save all your notes and all your homeworks and all your old exams and everything you learned from all your civil engineering courses. You also want to bring a 3-ring binder like this one here and take all your homemade cheat sheets and put them in there just so that you have a quick reference with you. I have mine here on my desk at work, and it's just all these notes that I've made over the years for various disciplines of engineering. And it's really handy to have wherever I need a quick reference. And making a homemade cheat sheet is one of the best exercises you can do for retaining information before you take an exam. So I would highly suggest that. Tip number 7, get involved in civil engineering related activities. Now, getting into BYU wasn't just about getting good grades and good test scores. They wanted to see that you were well-rounded, that you were involved in the community. And when you're a recent graduate, it's going to be no different. That's why you want to get involved in your student chapter of American Society of Civil Engineers and all the activities that they hold. You might even consider running for a leadership post within that organization, because corporate America isn't just looking for number crunchers, they're looking for leaders. So you want to get involved, and you also want to have the opportunity to network with other engineers, including ones who are at different schools. And that is all the information I have for you today. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to drop me a line. And also, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel.